going to put you on the spot and ask you who your Masters winner prediction is.
Oh, well, it's yeah, this is where one of the 21 of the 24 players from TGL in the field get selected. If you're going to make me pick one, I think Rory finds a way to get it done.
We're not even going to call you a homer for those picks. But by the way, Tim has picked Rory for almost every golf prediction we've ever made, and we'll see if he does it again for this year because we haven't revealed ours yet.
Let's give Rory a chance and pick somebody else.
Yeah.
Welcome to Wait What? Sports Biz Chat with DP and McGhee, the podcast where we take a sometimes irreverent, sometimes cynical, and yes, even a sometimes serious look at the business of sports. I'm your co-host, Tim McGhee.
And I'm David Parro.
Good morning, David. We are up much earlier than we normally are to accommodate someone I'm sure is going to be a great guest. I am reminded of the character of the bass player portrayed by Bill Murray in the famous National Lampoon comedy album, That's Not Funny, That's Sick, where he says, I usually get up when the sun is warm, like 1:30, 2 o'clock. So
it's much easier on your constitution, I think.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So what's on your mind?
Well, listen, I mean, we just completed an unbelievable NCAA tournament. It always is, right? And certainly on the men's side, these games could not have been more thrilling. The women's side had some surprise blowouts, but UConn prevails, a 12th national championship for 𝘕𝘦𝘯𝘭 and the UConn Huskies. An amazing performance by them. I don't think anyone is surprised. I certainly wasn't that UConn won. The women's side, what I was surprised at how badly they dismantled Dawn Staley's team in the final, but no surprise at all, and certainly worthy winners. On the men's side, some of these games, comebacks, Houston's come back to beat Duke, and Duke's. It was a bit of a joke. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, David, it's wow. UConn. So there were 8 teams in the Final Four on the men's and women's side. UConn was the only number 2 seed. They just rolled through the field, blew out UCLA, which was a very, very good defensive team throughout the season in the semifinals. And then obviously taking down the 2-time defending champion Lady Gamecocks. But I don't want to say 𝘕𝘦𝘯𝘭𝘰 is going soft in his later years. But he seemed to be more emotional than I recall him being. It was 9 years since they last won a championship. He seemed to be pretty emotional, but in his coach's press conference, he was not holding back on, his anger, I guess, his frustration, his disappointment in the NCAA for only having 2 regionals. They won the Elite 8 in Spokane, Washington, and then had to fly to Tampa, Florida. Only if the games were in Miami would that been a longer flight. And so they flew cross country, albeit on a charter, and then they had to prepare for that. It clearly didn't get in the way, but his point's well taken. You've got this amazing game that has grown so much in the last few years. Bring it to more people. Have 4 regional finals. Bring it to parts of the country where you can get 4 different geographic groups of fans excited about women's college basketball, and then bring it to the Final Four city.
Yeah, I think coming off of the most successful year on the women's side of the tournament in last year, and we haven't seen the numbers yet, by the way. I have not seen the women's numbers. I don't suspect that they will be as high, but Paige Bueckers, is a player of immense talent. She expected to be the number 1 pick in the WNBA draft if she doesn't use her last year of eligibility. Yeah.
She's already declared for the draft. The question now is, does she accept being selected by the Dallas Wings, who've got the first pick in the draft, or does she pull at Eli Manning and try to get to another club besides the one that would ostensibly draft her?
The point I was making is the quality of play on the women's side continues to improve. And if you look at this UConn team, 𝘕𝘬𝘓 was actually the MVP of the Final Four, not
Yeah.
Beckers, because of her scoring. Sarah Strong, a freshman, because the team's loaded with upperclassmen, but Sarah Strong, a freshman, was so outstanding. I mean, she's definitely going to be, in my opinion, a Naismith Player of the Year down the road. Interestingly, her mother is a VP with the Boston Celtics in team ops and organizational growth, my understanding, which I find fascinating. The players and the quality of play on that team was really, really impressive. Point being is, as you had said, why is the platform not built to be able to capitalize on this growth that we have been seeing? Because I think it warrants it, the enthusiasm for this. And what UConn has a national following. Their women's program has a national following.
One thing I hate to correct you, but I will. Sarah Strong is a Naismith Player of the Year winner already. She was our high school winner last year out of Grace Christian School in
You guys have just
North
expanded
Carolina.
Your reach is just too expansive. I cannot keep up with it.
The other thing I would say is, despite the fact that Paige Beckers has announced her intention to enter the WNBA draft, the collective bargaining agreement is going to be opened, and there is a real chance that there will be a work stoppage in the WNBA. So if I'm Paige Becker and her parents and her agents, I might want to take a look and say, listen, do I want to come back? I've got one more year. I've got NIL money, which is going to make me more than I will in salary. So I'm not giving up the salary dollars. Do I come back with these other young women on my team and try to defend that championship? You have to take her at her word. She said she's declaring for the draft, but I would think about coming back if I were her.
Yeah. On the men's side, again, this game just happened late last night. It finished with an unbelievable comeback by the Florida Gators to win their third national championship. Shout out to all our friends that are Gator fans. Particular call out to Keith Cutler, who I'm sure is celebrating still today. But we do know that the semifinal matchups, the Saturday games, did great numbers, averaging 15.3 million viewers on Saturday night, which was 19% up from two blowouts the previous year. The Houston comeback against Duke averaged 16 million, which was the higher rated one, of course. So great numbers there. I'm not sure the numbers are going to hold for the final. My prediction is they may be flat, possibly down, even though it was a great game. While Florida has a great national following, I'm not sure Houston does. Duke would have been a bigger draw, of course, in that game, but it is what it is, and fans got another amazing game delivered to them. I saw the picture of you presenting Cooper Flagg the Player of the Year award, and I'm like, oh man, I'm glad you had that moment with Cooper Flagg, though. Glad you had that moment.
Well, thank you. I will say a couple things. Number one, I don't believe it was a foul on Cooper Flagg at the end of the game.
Tough call at that point of the game, no doubt.
Yeah, free throw. And the official who made the call was behind the players. But I will say this, John Shire, who was our finalist for one of the finalists for Coach of the Year, and Cooper Flagg, despite the devastating loss on Saturday night, came to the awards brunch on Sunday where Coach Shire was so gracious, not only with the people that he spoke to off stage, but his comments about Cooper Flagg. And then Cooper Flagg, fine young man, came up, in the midst of that heartache and gave a gracious acceptance speech. So it was a thrill for me to award them, but it speaks volumes about the character of Coach Shire and Cooper Flagg and the character and the culture of the Duke basketball program that they came to do that, because a lot of people wouldn't have done that, and they did. So kudos to them.
I do want to say I was 2 for 4 in my predictions on the Naismith Award. I accurately predicted Cooper Flagg. I accurately predicted Corey Close. I was wrong on Bruce Pearl from Auburn as Coach of the Year, and Hannah Hidalgo from Notre Dame on the Women's Player of the Year. But I'll take it. I think. Did you? Don't tell me you were 4 for 4 on those.
I was 3 for 4.
Okay.
I missed the Women's Player of the Year. Interestingly,
You can tell
Rick,
us who you pick now, right? No?
yeah. So Cooper Flag, Rick Pitino. I had Lauren Betts and Corey Close, who both of whom Corey Close and Lauren Betts gave very nice speeches at the award ceremony in Tampa. I will say this about the Coach of the Year. So the AP had co-winners. They had Bruce Pearl and Rick Pitino. The NABC, National Association of Basketball Coaches, had Bruce Pearl, and we had Rick Pitino. So it was interesting how those different organizations voted differently for the Coach of the Year. But Bruce Pearl and Janai Broom came to our welcome dinner on Friday night, despite the fact that they were playing Saturday night. So again, speaks to the culture of the program that they came, and both were very gracious at that event.
The picture of you with Janai Broom is one of my favorite that I've ever seen. You know, when he's on the court, you don't see him in his glasses. He had glasses on, and he looked so professional and so buttoned up. And he's obviously like twice your height, right? And I'm going, he's just the guy that they've just assigned to be, you know, Tim's IT guy. I don't know. It just cracked me up.
There's so many different ways I feel inadequate in this world, and height is just one of them when I'm around these guys. But Janai Broom, very, very nice young man, very soft-spoken, very unlike his persona on the court.
Hearing Barkley talk about him being the absolute best player ever to play at Auburn, I thought was a nice tribute to Janai for sure. A couple more things I did want to talk about this. I think I do this annually now, but I need to give a shout out to the broadcast team, particularly Bill Raftery. This guy's 81 years old, and this isn't about. He not only hasn't lost a step, with his references feel current, even his old ones always fit. It's like everything he does, everything he's ever done holds up, but he's so in tune with the game currently as well. It's not like he's, you know, pining for the days of Bobby Knight style or Pete Carroll style basketball. By the way, UConn's women's team looked like a Pete Carroll coach team, by the way, with the way they do backdoor cuts. But I digress. Ian Eagle is wonderful. Grant Hill provides some stuff. Tracy Wilson, fantastic courtside reporter. I think she nailed every segment that she got. But Raftery's he's just like an American gem.
He really is. He really is.
Now,
we were talking over the course of the weekend about that great announcing pair of Billy Packer, Dick Enberg, or trio, I should say, Billy Packer, Dick Enberg, and Al McGuire. Back in the day, they're the ones who called the NCAA championship game between Magic Johnson's Michigan State and Larry Bird's Indiana State. But I agree. I think Bill Raftery will be remembered in perpetuity as one of the best.
It may be surprising because I'm not going to go Wake Forest homer here on this. Al McGuire was, before Bill Raftery, my favorite, like early analyst. I thought he brought that same degree of wit and smarts and just clever Northeast attitude. I mean, even though McGuire was famous for coaching Marquette, a Midwestern school, he was very Eastern, Northeastern at his heart. I could watch Raftery calling a game any day of the week. I think he's amazing. This is probably an unpopular take.
Okay.
I don't like One Shining Moment. I think that song is so over itself. They got
the new version or the Luther Vandross version?
It doesn't matter. The song, the song's dated. Even the Luther Vandross one, which is the updated version, and it's been around obviously for. I don't know. I feel the song was always contrived. And listen, the guy wrote this song that's been beloved by everybody, but it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like it fits. I think it was about 6 years ago I started going, I'm either tired of this song or I just don't think it's that good of a song. I'm sorry. I know it's an unpopular take.
I don't know if it's unpopular so much as it's in the minority because it's become, and I have to disagree with you. And you know me, I'm hip, right? I'm hip, Scott. Tucka, 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 tucka. How about a hug? But I love it. I just think it's a great capstone on the event. Quick Billy Packer story. Billy Packer was business partners with the original founder of Momentum, a guy named Mark Driscoll, commonly known as Dill Driscoll. And I worked for Dill shortly after Momentum was acquired by IPG for the second time. He built Momentum, sold it, had a non-compete, and then built Momentum again. But anyway, I went into Dill's office one morning, and Dill had this big couch, and there's this guy sleeping on the couch, curled up with his face towards the back of the couch. And I looked at him, I go, that looks just like Billy Packer. And about 2 minutes later, he stirred. This is the middle of a workday. It's like 9:30 on a workday. And Billy Packer just gets up and sits up and starts talking to us as if nothing happened. I was really impressed with myself that I could just see from the back of a bald head that it was Billy Packer.
Very nice. All right. Anything else we want to talk about on the NCAA side, or you want to move on to another subject?
I have one other thing I wanted to bring up on the NCAA, which was we talked about it last week with our guest Rick Jones, and he had his suggestion or recommendation on how the transfer portal should be handled. If you recall, he said you get one transfer, and then if you're a graduate student, you're allowed to take a second transfer in the grad portal as a graduate student. And I was reading the other day several things about Hailey Van Lith and how she accomplished something no other women's basketball player in the history of the sport has done, which is she went with 3 different teams to the Elite Eight. Started out at Louisville, went to LSU, and then this year with TCU. And they're celebrating this. And I can't help but think that this is, to me, isn't something to be celebrated. And this is not a knock on Hailey Van Lith. This is literally
great player.
Yeah, this is literally a situation where they say don't hate the player, hate the game, right? She worked within the system, but the fact that she's able to play for 3 different teams is A, very mercenary, and B, it just shows that to me, and I agree with Rick, the system is broken, that this is allowed to happen.
Yeah, I think Rick's recommendation was a fairly logical one. I think part of the criticism in the past has been coaches are able to do this, but they never moved around like this. It's literally just shopping for the next deal. And I mean, the one thing I'll say is that the fact that the women's game has advanced to the point where there's a market for that, I suppose is a positive development. But yeah, that does seem ridiculous for sure.
That's all I've got on NCAA and Final Four. What about you?
The one thing I wanted to talk about, and it is Masters Week, and we're going to have a guest coming up to help us understand a little about, talk a little golf. You know, there's been an attempt to bring the parties back together for a while. We have talked about the president is involved in this. PIF, which owns outright Live Golf, has committed to a major investment in making this happen and being able to be in position to have an investment in the collective tours and have a seat at the table, if you will, a big seat at the table. And I won't go into the detail on that. But there seems to be a bit of a holdup, and that holdup is, and it's the one we've talked about all along, is on the Live side, they want to be ensured that Live remains basically as it is, with the number of tournaments and the style of tournaments as team competition, if you will. And the tour is like, well, that just isn't going to fit. And while people at the top will say, we just want to merge these two, they're not mergeable in this sense. So you know, get the story straight. And it may be, and maybe the tour feels like it has gotten their upper hand back a little bit. I'm not sure if that's the case, because Pip could certainly say, we're just going to take more players, right? And bring them over to Live. It's just a fascinating moment. And I think we all do want to see the best golfers being able to play together. Having a team concept makes some sense to me. But how it can fit with the schedule of the PGA Tour, I don't know. So anyway, I think this is going to be a major story throughout. I don't think we're as far along as I expected that we would be by this time of year. So we will see how it progresses during the entire year.
Yeah, I agree with you. And this has nothing to do with politics or who owns Live Golf. And I'll also say that I'm not somebody who's opposed to change in sports, whether it's change of rules, style of play. I don't mind that. I'm not opposed to progress. But golf has been around as a professional sport for nearly 100 years. And it has always been a situation in which you played 4 rounds or 72 holes, after which time the winner is determined. And some tournaments have a cut, some tournaments don't have a cut. There's, certain tournaments that use the modified Stableford scoring system. But by and large, winners are determined by who has the lowest score after 72 holes. And that is how the world of golf has determined who the best golfers are in the ranking system. Live Golf has decided, and for those of you who don't remember, Live is LIV, the Roman numeral for 54. They have decided they will play 3 rounds. So you're comparing apples to oranges when you're comparing a performance of somebody who wins a 3-round tournament and somebody who wins a 4-round tournament. To me, it's very difficult then to put them on the same scoring system or same ranking system. That's my issue. It's not politics. It's not the money they play.
Yeah, I guess I've seen enough now with various other, discussions around where golf should be and wanting to appeal to younger people. I'm a little over that part of it, if I'm being honest. And your points are obviously well taken. We've discussed them on this podcast, going back to the original breakup, I guess, or when Liv first started getting players to come play in their events and signing these players for massive contracts. The games are definitely different, but that piece of it I do think is probably mendable. The question is that it's like we got to get these two back together again. It's like they're not. It's like, fine, just accept the fact that there may be different versions of golf. Now, part of the problem that Liv has is saying we got to get these players back together again is well, these players, great players, Bryson DeChambeau, Sergio Garcia, Brooks Koepka. I mean, top players are playing over on Liv, right? Top players. And their numbers aren't great. I mean, their leaderboards tend to be pretty good. If you're looking at a lower end PGA Tour event versus a Liv event, you're going to see bigger names on the Liv leaderboard. But it hasn't necessarily translated yet. And again, I don't even think that's necessarily the issue. It's all about how are you taking all of the potential interests and getting it to work. If the Liv model has to be this team competition, then I'm thinking it needs to come down in number of events. It becomes the tour's team competition, and there are X number of events, and everybody's kind of playing together. The concept of these teams that are now their own entities, like a normal sports team, they're taking sponsorship separately. If you're investing in Liv, you have to kind of do a team deal, or if you're doing a team deal, you become a Liv, things like that. So I don't know. I just think it's like structurally to bring them together. We want the best players to be playing together. Well, that means that the PGA Tour players are going to be playing in team type events on Liv. To me, one of them goes away and you have a Liv competition, or you have a team competition. Am I making any sense?
Yeah, I agree with you. And there's no doubt that the PIF could fund Liv forever. But they are an investment fund. And like any other investment fund in the world, they want a return on that investment. And I don't think they're getting it right now. Their cost structure is way out of whack because of what they've guaranteed these players. Their ratings aren't very high. Their attendance isn't very high. They are having a little bit of success on the sponsorship side, but I don't know the financial terms of those. And so at some point, does PIF say, that's enough? We tried it. It didn't work. That's the other thing that I'm keeping an eye out on, is at what point does PIF say, guys, we got to get a return on this investment? And maybe they sell the concept to the PGA Tour, and it becomes part of the PGA Tour structure. So, the top players don't play in every event. So maybe you schedule it at certain times, and so they play a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday or something. And then you have 7 days of golf. And so if you're the tour, you have something that's available 7 days a week at certain points in your calendar.
There are a ton of ways out of this, and I think what you just said may be the simplest. It's just a matter of what do people want to accept. I kind of like the idea about adding something a little different to the tour, and if it's just a matter of seeing the best players already are playing in all the majors. So I just hope heads prevail and the focus is on what's best for the fan, what's best for the sport, and they build a solution around that. But that doesn't seem to be the way it's going right now. But hopefully we get to a point where it all makes sense. Anything else before we take a break? By the way, what about Ovechkin and, surpassing the great one in goals?
Yeah, kudos to the grade 8. And shout out to David Aberton, who's my old boss, good friend, who has represented Alex in his marketing deals for many years. And so, it's great for the sport. I remember sitting down with David at the beginning of the season. He wasn't quite sure whether Alex would be able to break the record this year. If you recall, Ovechkin got off to a fairly slow start last season. And one of the things that he has been known for is his durability, and he actually missed a fair number of games with an injury earlier in this year. But despite that, he was able to set the record this year, and they are a very good team this year. So I would not be surprised if the Capitals win their second Stanley Cup with number 8 as their captain.
That would be an amazing run. Yeah, he's a beast. He continues to play very hard. Listen, it's been a great year for the NHL coming off of the Four Nations face-off event. They just got a huge increase in their deal in Canada with Rogers. And then, of course, Ovi, taking over as the all-time leading scorer in NHL history just draws that much more attention. So very, very good year for the NHL.
Yeah, one quick observation before we break. I saw a side-by-side picture of Ovechkin and Gretzky when they set their respective records, and Gretzky looks like he hadn't shaved yet, and Ovechkin looks like you and me.
So Ovechkin, my understanding is, I actually looked this up. He's 39 years old. Is that possible?
Well, we used to have a joke
recently, and I said, "Is it possible that he's 39 years old? He looks older than us." Now, that was probably being,
he looks like the white. He looks like the white version of Grady from Sanford and Son.
I mean, I know he's played hard, but man, yeah.
We used to have a joke when we were kids. Every year when my mother celebrated her birthday, it was her 39th birthday. So maybe this is, maybe Alex, celebrated his 6th 39th birthday this past year. I don't know. He looks old in the tooth, long in the tooth, as they say.
Well,
and with him,
it's not a criticism. We're not criticizing. He looks amazing.
It makes it even more impressive that he's able to do that at 39. But he's the understatement of the year. He is the grade 8, right? And he will go down with Gretzky and Gordie Howe. And I got to give a shout out to my boy Mike Bossy, who was a prolific scorer in his own right. But some of the greats. Is he the GOAT? I don't know. Gretzky, to me, is the GOAT, right? Because of the number of Stanley Cups that he won
and assists.
Right. But anyway, ready to take a break, partner?
I think so. We got a great guest coming up, and excited about that. We will be back.
It's time for our guest.
It is one of the best sports weeks on the calendar, and certainly a very important one for the world of golf. So we are thrilled to welcome Jason Langwell, Chief Revenue Officer of TMRW Sports Group, the force behind the TGL, a breakthrough concept in professional golf and sports. TGL recently completed a very successful inaugural first season. Jason has a massive amount of experience in the golf business. Prior to joining TMRW, he served as executive director of the Rocket Mortgage Classic PGA Tour event in Detroit, part of his role as EVP at Chicago-based Intersport, and has also held executive positions at various agencies, including several within IPG. Jason, welcome. We know this is a busy week for you, so we appreciate you joining us.
It's great to be with you.
All right. Because it's Masters Weeks, we're going to start there. I keep saying Masters Week. It's a tough thing to say if you're a professional broadcaster like me.
Yeah, it's wishful thinking. You wish it was more than a week.
So we want to start there. What does the Masters mean for the overall sport of golf? And is there anything that you feel fans should be on the lookout for this week?
Yeah, I mean, well, from a TGL perspective, guys, we're excited to have 21 of 24 TGL players in the field. Only 3 missing this year. Proud of that. I think overall for the sport of golf, the Masters is, it's one of the most iconic and prestigious tournaments in the world of golf. It's more than a major. As Nance would say, it's a tradition like no other, right? So, it's not just a golf tournament; it's the ultimate stage in golf. And I think, I think one of the things that we appreciate at TGL about it is a major is its innovation. I think when you look at Augusta National, it's been very influential in shaping modern golf, whether that's course design, broadcasting. It's really a tone setter, right, for storylines for the rest of the season.
So first of all, congratulations on the successful first season, Jason.
Thank you.
Give us an overview of the major accomplishments, what you guys set out to do, and how you did in achieving them.
Yeah, it was an exciting year one. There's only one first time, right? And we felt great about it. Look, I think fans responded to primetime team golf. I've never seen that before. And I think if I had to point to one overarching success for us, it was welcoming new fans, new communities of fans, especially young fans to golf. And, with the heart of the golf season ahead, hopefully these new fans are going to follow, their favorite TGO players on the top of the leaderboard, like they did with Min Woo Lee a couple of weeks ago with a win at Houston. So, I think, look, we were tied for second in median age overall as a league at 52 for youth and second for percent of that coveted audience in that 18 to 49 demo at 42%. So, a really strong base to build from.
Yeah, that was really exciting. Some of the things that came out of the television numbers, and there was that Billy Horschel moment in the final.
Yeah.
There was Tiger's first swing, which just was, went viral. There were all these great moments. The television product did look really great. I mean, SVP was down there for the final. ESPN partnership, a critical piece of that. How would you characterize that partnership? How important has it been to TGL?
Well, it's really huge. ESPN, it was an incredible partner. They feature most of our matches in prime time. And they just couldn't have been better. I mean, they're the worldwide leader in sports, and their partnership was key. I mean, finding distribution partner, is challenging. And when you find it, they got to lean in, and they did in a major way. And just when you look at how they covered even just our finals, right, with SVP being there and March Madness happening and seeing like the brackets up on the big screen, I get chills talking about it. It was they're an incredible partner.
I think it's safe to say that the sport of golf is in a state of flux right now. TGL is a significant part of the golf landscape now. Where do you see yourself fitting in that landscape?
Look, I mean, I think we're focusing right now on what we're doing in the game of golf. I think we fit really well. Look, I think we're complementary to the PGA Tour. I think overall, Monday, Tuesday, primetime team golf. We're just focused on being additive, to the game of golf. More of the best players playing against each other. Serve fans in a fun, fast-paced environment. I think that's kind of where we sit, right? How do you get the best players in the world playing against each other in a team format in a way that's fun and fast-paced? That feels right, and I think that's why fans responded.
So the sport of golf is reliant largely on sponsorship. Obviously,
Yeah.
It's something you've been involved in quite a bit. Do you remain bullish on the sport of golf overall, and particularly with what you're delivering from a Tomorrow Sports Group side,
Yeah.
with golf as a sponsorship play?
I do. Look, I mean, I think we finished the season really strong with the addition of 7 playoff partners, and that's really led to a robust pipeline of prospective partners, many of which we're hosting here in this wonderful home in Augusta this week. And I think that makes us unique to brands. And then on one hand, you have the ability to reach this kind of tough to reach, affluent golf audience that the PGA Tour offers. And we also get to participate and engage in tapping into a very young, socially active sports fan. So we're really the only place in sports where you can run that gamut and get kind of that wide swath of demos all in one sponsorship play.
Jason, what else do you have on tap for Tomorrow Golf beyond TGL? What can our listeners and golf fans in particular expect?
Yeah, what can I say? What am I allowed to say? Our focus is on TGL, evaluating season 1 currently, survey, a lot of data, suggestions. I mean, we look at feedback as a gift, and, it's Christmas every day here. So, and I think how to make season 2 better. We see growth potential for sure, but we also need to stay focused, right? And we're going to stay focused on building off the strong base that we've established. Yeah, I think good companies and businesses find ways to expand, but in a smart and focused and disciplined way. And our leader, Mike McCarley, subscribes to that approach, and we really believe in that.
Before I ask the next question, I wanted to ask you, because you have this amazing history in what I guess I would say is traditional golf, and pardon that expression, but that's what I'd say. How much fun has this been to just dive in so deeply into such a kind of new concept?
It's great. Yeah. I like this indoor golf thing. It's cool. I was talking to someone the other day. I'm like, you play outdoor golf? So yeah, no, it's been great. Look, I mean, this is a personal and recreational passion, and, to kind of have, your bucket list of things, launching a golf league, and being a part of that has been just truly rewarding. It's been special.
You mentioned Mike just a moment ago as the leader of the organization, but you were famously founded by or co-founded by two of the most iconic names, not just in the current state of golf, but in all time, and that's Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy. How active are they in the business? How much interest do they continue to take in where Tomorrow Sports is going and where TGL is going?
Yeah, I think Mike McCarley, he can speak to that best, but they've been a part of Tomorrow Sports from day one, right? And very involved in the competition, the format. I mean, the creation of the hammer, the evolution of the hammer. They're not only great golfers, but they're smart, savvy business people. And we're lucky to have them as founders and have them leaning into, to what we're doing. But yeah, they're very engaged, and we're lucky to have them.
Okay, Jason, we couldn't let you come on without asking you this question. So recognizing that there are discussions going on at the highest levels of the various stakeholders in the state of golf, you have a crystal ball. Where do you see the state of golf at the end of 2025?
Yeah, only time will tell, right? I think we're focused on what we're building here. We hear a lot of noise like everyone else, and I guess as a fan of the game, you want to see the best players playing against each other more often. Beyond that, not involved in those high level discussions, and gonna let them, speak for themselves. But yeah, I love how we've put, the best players on the PGA Tour against each other, and I think that's where everyone wants. Get the best players, playing against each other more often.
Tim, how about that? How diplomatic was that?
And I just want to go on record and say we were permitted to ask that question with the caveat that you may not answer at all. But so yeah. I thank you. But I think, Jason, you're spot on. People want to see the best against the best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think hopefully that'll happen.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you give specifically vague responses to that.
It actually was. I mean, I'm joking in a way that it was diplomatic, but it was smart, and it made the point. And I think everybody is in that basically that same spot. How it comes together, we'll see. But it's certainly a story that, from our podcast standpoint, is one that we continue to take a look at. Yeah. All right, we promised you we were going to be quick, so we are. So we're moving to the closing round here, Jason.
Okay.
I'm going to ask a couple questions that we ask everybody. Now, I'm going to add one to you, which I haven't told you what it's going to be.
Okay.
And so we'll surprise you with that at the end. So, like I said, several questions. The first one being,
where'd your career get started? Where'd you start it?
I was really lucky. So the founder of the world's largest amateur golf tournament was the Oldsmobile Scramble.
I love that event.
Yeah, his name was Dick Garn. He's no longer with us, but he's still with me as a mentor of mine. He grew up in Coldwater, Michigan, where I grew up. I caddied for Dick, got to know him. His middle son went to school with me. And coming out of college, I mean, the opportunity opened up to run the Oldsmobile Scramble. So I was either going to work in one of the major golf leagues, or I was going to go back home and work for Dick. And that company, Alpha One Marketing Group, that ran all of Oldsmobile's grassroots golf business, eventually got acquired by Interpublic Group that took People and Properties, which was running the Buick golf programs, and Alpha One that was running Oldsmobile's golf programs, and a couple of other agencies, and banged them all together to create an entity called GM EventWorks that eventually became GM Artworks, which was an agency within a client that ran all the GM sports marketing efforts. And I was, essentially their golf guy. And so it was very, very fortuitous. And for there, it just kind of went from there.
The number of agencies that you just were able to mention in one storyline was amazing. Very impressive. But yeah, the Oldsmobile Scramble, one of the greatest grassroots sports marketing programs of all time. Loved it. Okay. Follow-up question. One piece of advice that you would give to someone looking to break into the sports business?
Yeah, I think I've been asked this before, and the answer is the same. I think you try to find a mentor, not a job. I think finding a job is hard. Finding a mentor is even harder. But it's advice I got early in my career, served me well, especially when deciding between jobs. I think it's easier to find, someone to give you a paycheck than it is to find someone who can help you shape your career. And I think looking for the latter is a lot more important than looking for the former.
That's great. No, appreciate that. Okay, the final question, the surprise one, because Tim and I are going to do it at the end of the show. So we're going to put you on the spot and ask you who your Masters winner prediction is.
Oh, well, it's yeah, this is where one of the 21 of the 24 players from TGL in the field get selected. Look, I think I truthfully believe it's Rory's time. I do. I think I think JT is there as well. I think he's on form. If you're going to make me pick one, I think Rory finds a way to get it done.
We're not even going to call you a homer for those picks. But by the way, Tim has picked Rory for almost every golf prediction we've ever made. And we'll see if he does it again for this year, because we haven't revealed ours yet.
Let's give Rory a chance to have him pick somebody else. Yeah.
That's great. Listen, Jason, we know it's a busy week. Good luck with everything you have going on down in Augusta. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your insights, and we hope to stay in touch.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Major thanks to Jason Langwell from 𝘓𝘓 Sports Group, providing some very interesting golf perspective during Masters Week. Well, we have hit that time of the show where we take a quick peek ahead, see what stories, events we may be looking forward to, or otherwise miscellaneous bits we haven't mentioned yet. So, Tim, what do you have your eye on?
Well, I want to give a shout out to Dan Orlovsky, football analyst on ESPN. Last week was World Autism Awareness Day, and he has a son who's on the spectrum, and his son named Madden, and his son created all the graphics that they used during the show that Dan was appearing on. So kudos to Dan and kudos to ESPN for bringing awareness to autism. About 1 in 60 children who are born today are diagnosed for being on a spectrum. And you know that I'm an autism dad, so it's somebody near and dear to my heart. So I wanted to give those guys a shout out. But I also wanted to make my prediction for Masters Week. It's become somewhat of a tradition for you and I to do that. And I'm going to go with Scotty Scheffler, but I want to hear who you pick, because you're much better at that than I am. If memory serves me well, your picks tend to finish a lot higher than mine do.
Well, listen, I don't think you can go wrong with Scotty Scheffler as a pick, which is why I refuse to pick Scotty Scheffler, because he's clearly, anytime he suits up, he's an odds-on favorite, and it seems particularly at a major. I'm going with Collin Morikawa. I think he's playing super well right now. He had some issues in the Masters in the past, but he is a two-time major winner. So I'm looking for him to break through. But as usual, I think it'll be a great tournament. It's always one of the fun bits on the sports calendar for sure. I need to congratulate you, Tim, on all of the activity around Naismith over the last couple weeks. It was wonderful seeing you in that role as chairman of the Naismith Awards this year, and it certainly couldn't have had a better person, ambassador for the Naismith in that role. So it was exciting for me, and dare I say the podcast, to have you awarding Patino and Cooper Flagg and Corey Close, Juju Watkins, these awards, these very important awards for excellence in college basketball.
Well, thank you. What an honor, what a thrill. But honestly, all of the accolades, all of the credit goes to our past guest, the president of the Atlanta Tip-Off Club, Eric Oberman, works tirelessly on this thing. And he finally got to enjoy the game last night after all the hoopla and formal events that we had. But thank you. It was a thrill of a lifetime. And I get to do it 2 more years.
That's amazing. Another shout out to, it's not really a shout out, but one of the stories that's been interesting, we haven't had a chance to talk about it on the show, is the elevation, I guess we'll say, of Steve Phelps to commissioner of NASCAR. Steve O'Donnell now has moved into the president title, and this is a new move. They have done it way in the past, but this is, I think, an interesting move. It certainly makes NASCAR a lot more like other sports leagues, if you will. And now in the era of the charters, I think that's meaningful. We'll have to talk about this in the future and maybe get somebody from NASCAR back on the show to talk about what that means. But Steve is someone that you and I have worked with obviously in our past, and a great guy. I love what he's done with NASCAR. And I think at his, while he's been at the helm, NASCAR has done some great things. Another big story, obviously, to watch is the college ruling coming out of the House versus NCAA settlement deal. I think we were hoping to maybe have some news out of from District Judge Claudia Wilkin. That seems to have been postponed, but all eyes on that, obviously, over the next few weeks. So that's it for this episode. Thank you again to Jason Langwell from Tomorrow Sports Group. We're wishing everyone in our listening audience a fun Masters Week. Thanks, Tim, to you for getting up super early. By the way, we're recording this very early today to accommodate Jason's schedule. I know it's been a crazy few weeks for you. But most importantly, thank you all for spending time with us. We encourage you to subscribe, share it with your friends, comment and engage, or just reach out to us directly. It's always wonderful hearing from everyone. So until next time, I'm DP, he's McGhee, and we'll talk soon.
Next to